Okay, hello everybody. Welcome. Today's topic is very interesting, especially for the ladies, because we will talk about the different expressions of the feminine energy and how we can find this in the birth chart, how we can explore this, how we can find some insights or even possible solutions. And then I will also do some readings. Actually, I want to demonstrate how we do this in practice, because practice is always more interesting than just the theory. For those who are watching us on YouTube or are watching the recording later, if you want to be able to join us on Zoom and get the chance also to have your chart explored live for free, of course, you are welcome to join my Telegram channel. I put the link in the comments after the webinar. I will also include it in the description below. So you're welcome to join the Telegram channel and you will receive notifications and you will be able to join us live. So the feminine energy, very, very interesting topic. And first, I want to tell you a little bit about my vision about what we are going to explore. So we will talk about which are the indications in the birth chart, of course, which resonate with the feminine energy the most. We should never forget that the whole chart is important, okay? So we need to consider it always, but there are some important points that we should never forget about. Also, I will share with you which are the main types of the feminine energy or the expression of this energy. And which are the qualities related to this, how we can nurture this energy, which are the positive or the beneficial sides, which could be the more kind of like shadow sides, or I don't want to use the word negative, but let's say challenging sides. And also, I want to explore what is the feminine energy. I mean, because there is sometimes a belief or an idea that women, as having representing this energy, they are over emotional, they are very irrational, they are very inconsistent. And I want to address this as well, because not all of this is true, or probably this isn't true at all. Or at least this is not what a balanced feminine energy is. Actually, that's very important to make the difference between a balanced feminine energy and the distortions that sometimes we can experience, because that really changes the situation. Also, I have a new project which is specifically focused on astrology and GSR and working with the feminine energy. And until the end of the year, there are some special offers, so you can have your chart analyzed specifically in terms of your feminine energy, and we can work on particular issues so that you can feel more in touch with this energy, and yeah, you can get more in touch with your feminine resource. In general, and again, this will be very kind of like, what's that? Just idea to explore. I'm planning a new project which will start sometime at the beginning of 23, which will combine astrology and GSR. So just so you know, if you are interested in learning astrology or becoming even better with your astrology interpretations, and at the same time you want to have a tool that will help you to work on your chart or on specific points, GSR is really the best method. So we will combine this. If you are interested, you can contact me. You can text me on Telegram or email me because, yeah, I'm already working on this. So anyway, now we are here to talk about the feminine energy. An interesting approach which we will use is to explore the strength of the feminine planets, which will give us a clear idea of what a balanced feminine energy is. So we'll get there, so bear with me. What is GSR? GSR is a technique which allows you to work with your inner world and to change basically everything inside of yourself. It works with your deep feelings, and in this way, you change your behavior, which can change your reality. So it's really the deepest technique for inner work, which I'm personally aware of, and I have explored tons of stuff. So if you're interested, you can contact me. I will be happy to share more with you. So the first step, how do we explore the feminine energy in the horoscope? It's very simple, and yet we can find a lot of things. It's to check the balance of the elements. As we know, there are feminine and masculine elements. The feminine are the earth and the water, and the masculine are the fire and the air. So by finding which of those two polarities dominates in your chart, you can already have a pretty good idea of which energy is stronger. Again, I want to remind you one thing, that in astrology, we have this principle that we can't make some big general conclusions based on only one thing. So please never forget this, that we always explore everything together. But the balance of the elements is a great starting point. And honestly, when I'm reading a chart, and no matter what the question is, I'm always checking the elements first. This is always giving you like a general idea about what dominates. So again, if the water and the earth signs are stronger, or we have more planets in those signs, then that would mean the feminine energy can be strong also. The masculine signs, air and fire, they are the active, they are the masculine energy. So what I apologize for my voice, but I'm still recovering a little bit. So what I have seen in the charts of women with dominant masculine signs, a very common situation is that they are kind of used to doing everything, or at least most of the things themselves. So it could be difficult for them to receive help, to ask for help, to be vulnerable, to relax, if you will. Those could be like very active, very independent women. And usually, not always, but in some cases, they can struggle or they can have difficulties in their relationships. Or they may complain that they are attracting weak men. So it's either that the woman has difficulties to attract the relationship, or she attracts like weaker men or men that need help or need somebody to take care of them. And that's not the only reason why you might attract weak men in your life. There could be other patterns or models relevant to this scenario, but that's one of the major ones. So if you have dominant masculine energy, or in simple words, if you are too strong, chances are you might attract more like a partner who is weak or who needs some kind of help. Of course, I'm not saying that all strong women should be with weak men. Of course, again, strength, this is like another topic, and you might be strong in many different ways. But if you have difficulties to receive help yourself, then it's very likely that you may attract someone else who would need this, who would need to receive this from you. So the balance of the elements is always a great starting point. And of course, we might have this hypothetical case when the planets are 5 on 5. That also happens. And in this case, it means that we can't make a big conclusion based on this. Both of the energies are present there, so we need to explore more. Another thing, if you have many planets in water and earth signs, like myself, for example, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have problems with the feminine energy. Unfortunately, things are not so simple to say that, oh, if you have lots of water and earth, you have lots of feminine energy, you don't have any problems. Not the case usually, because the feminine energy might be expressed in different ways. It could be blocked by other indications, but at least potentially it is there. And the next thing, which is, of course, very important when we are exploring the feminine energy, those are the planets, and specifically the feminine planets, which are the moon and Venus. And we will focus a lot on this because, first of all, by exploring generally what the moon and Venus represent, in which signs those planets are strong, in which signs those planets are weak, we can understand in general the nature of this energy and what do we need to work on, and what are also, like the indicators that may show you, okay, my feminine energy is not balanced, it's not okay. And another thing I want to remind you is that you can hardly find a chart and a woman and generally a human who doesn't have any problems. So if you find that your Venus has a challenging aspect with Saturn, for example, that's not the end of the world. So we always need to look at everything together. And having a problematic aspect, for example, or a planet in a problematic sign doesn't mean that, oh, you will have problems forever. It means that you need to understand yourself better and you need to work on this. You need to either put some kind of effort or some kind of conscious work on this energy. So the moon and Venus, what is the difference? Because they are both relevant to the feminine energy, but those are like two different archetypes. The moon is this feminine energy, which is more relevant to nurturing, taking care. It's basically the mother archetype. But another side of it is that it's also the child archetype. So in some cases, again, we need to explore this, but for some women, especially if there is some kind of trauma, if there are some kind of difficult experiences, they might get stuck more on the child energy, not the mother or nurturing energy. And when I say mother, it's not only about having your own biological children. You can be nurturing or take care in many different ways. So it's not only about having the biological children. The other planet, Venus, this is the attractive feminine side. This is the archetype of the lover. It's the planet which is related to our desires, to love, to joy also. So those are the two major archetypes. The mother energy, or let's call it nurturing energy, and the other one is the lover's energy. And we can explore also, and this is very interesting, which of the planets is stronger in your chart. obviously we have different options. For someone, the moon might be very strong, the Venus might be weak, or both could be kind of neutral, or sometimes both could be kind of weak. Yes, this also happens. But pay attention. And my personal opinion is that we need to acknowledge both of the planets, because sometimes if one of the planets is much stronger than the other one, we might compensate and over focus on it, and the other part, it can't disappear. So hypothetical example, the moon is very strong, Venus is very weak. So the woman is very dedicated to children, to taking care of others, to providing for others. She forgets about her own desires, about her own femininity. She loses her joy, basically. This happens, especially when one of the planets dominates. And this is not a recipe for happiness, because your Venus will not disappear. This is a part of you. Even if the planet is weak, you have it in your chart. And it means that it represents a part of you. And if you are neglecting this, you are also paying the price for this. So I think that we need to focus on both of the planets, no matter what their status is. And yes, you might recognize, okay, my moon is kind of fine, but I need to work on my Venus, or the other way around. Or another thing is that also throughout our lives, things may change. That's also because we get through different seasons of our lives, but also because we have prediction, because we have transits and progressions, and we may find that, okay, my general theme is this, but right now, for example, in those few years, I need to focus on something different. So it's really valuable also to explore, especially your progressions and the transits as well. But progressions might be even more interesting, specifically the progressed moon and the progressed Venus and what is happening with them. That's also extremely valuable. So let's look at the planets separately. The moon. What does the moon represent? The moon, first of all, represents, if we talk about the stages of our lives, those are the first 7 years. And this is our first connection with the world, of course, the connection with the mother, the early family environment and experiences. And also this is like our filter, the filter through which we are looking at the world, basically. Just like the moon is circling around the earth, in the same way, like the energy of the other planets are getting through this filter, right? It's like the moon's filter. In the same way, we look or we see things in life through this filter as well. So the moon is also related to life. That's why it's related also to food, to our safety. And safety and nurturing. So the feminine energy can't be balanced and very harmonious if we feel unsafe. That's just a given. That's just how it is. Especially if we have had some kind of traumatic experiences, difficulties in the first few years of our life. That's something we need to address. But also in general, if you feel unsafe in your life, you can't even think about the feminine energy because it comes after that. So feeling unsafe can be triggered by many things. And it can often be also, sometimes it can be very objective. For example, worrying a lot about money, some objective circumstances in life that make you feel unsafe. But In other cases, you may also notice that objectively things are fine. You are not threatened. Your life is safe. Okay, you may want more money, but you are still not in danger of starving, and yet you feel unsafe. That's the case when some kind of inner energies are affecting us, energies that may come from the family system. That's what GSR basically works with. Those subconscious energies which are making you see the world in different ways. So that's one of the major things to work on. If you feel unsafe, then the feminine energy cannot be balanced. It can be expressed in a natural way. Also, the ability to be nurtured, to allow, to receive. Both of the planets, the moon and Venus, they are both, because as we will find, there are some differences, like both of the planets represent different things, but there are some common themes between the two planets. And one of the common things between the moon and Venus is that they are both open to receiving. So if we are not used to this, and again, we can always start from childhood and early experiences. If we can do this, then the feminine energy is not balanced. When we explore Venus, how can we find, even without looking at the horoscope, actually? Those are some questions that you can ask yourself, even if you don't know anything about astrology, if you don't know your chart, or you're just talking to somebody else and you don't know their chart. One moment, please. So when it comes to Venus, you can ask yourself, are you in touch with, and do you allow yourself to want things, to have desires? And here, a more automatic answer could be, oh, yes, I want things. Of course, I want things. But I want to invite you to look deeper and really think about it and really try to feel this. Do you have like concrete desires which are clear and which you are, it's not just like a fantasy, something that you are kind of imagining, because that's another thing. And we might kind of like find ourselves in a little bit of a inner lie. It's one thing to just have a fantasy about something. It's another thing to have it and to say, this is my desire. This is exactly what I want. And those could be any type of things. It could be practical, objective things, material stuff. It could be emotional stuff. It could be about relationships. Because when Venus is harmonious, we have concrete desires. We know what desires are, what those desires are, yes. They may change over time. That's totally fine. But we are very much in touch with those desires. So when the feminine energy is balanced, again, we know what those desires are. Feeling unsafe and feminine energy is spot on. Yes, absolutely. That's the moon. Thank you for the shares also. Yes, and the receiving part. Again, the receiving is both the moon and Venus. If safety is more about the moon, receiving is both the moon and Venus. But Venus is specifically about having concrete desires. Another thing which is also related to Venus, it's about our own personal values. So to allow yourself to have your own values and priorities. And it doesn't mean that you should intentionally go against what other people want. It's not about that. But if that's the case, I mean, you recognize that, I don't know, for example, the socially now very slim women, for example, are valued, or that's like the standard, at least in the Western culture, I think. But you recognize, you know what, that's not what I really want for myself. I feel comfortable in my body in this shape, for example. It means to allow yourself to prioritize your own values. And it could be values about anything, not just about beauty or appearance or yourself. It could be about life in general. So to be in touch with those personal values, which are your own, not to necessarily, you know, follow the trends or what other people believe is right for you. Again, that's the strong Venus. And what I want to suggest now is to look at the strong and the weak positions of the moon and Venus, because this will give us an idea also, how does it look like generally when this energy is balanced or strong, and how does it look like when it's not? I also mentioned this at the beginning, but I didn't completely follow this thought about women and the fact that they are sometimes considered, oh, the feminine energy, oh, it's about being over emotional or hysterical or whatever. That's not what a balanced feminine energy is. When Venus, especially Venus, when Venus is strong, it means in a strong, balanced position. The emotions, they are strong, but they are kind of like deep and private. It doesn't mean that you don't share them with the people you love, but you don't demonstrate. You are not like, for example, those situations or those women that are over dramatical, sometimes theatrical, or like, everything is on the surface. This is not an indication for a strong feminine energy. This is an indication for unbalanced feminine energy. When Venus is strong, the emotions are more stable. They are deep, not on the surface, not demonstrated. And we are just more balanced overall. And the strong positions for Venus are Libra and Taurus. And in those signs, Venus is, especially in Taurus, Venus is grounded. Venus is interested in comfort. The moon is also interested in comfort when it's in Taurus. We will talk about it in a moment. And this energy is really about connecting to someone also on a more practical level. So it's not about fantasizing. It's not just about visions. It's about, having a contact in the material world, in the actual objective reality. In Libra, Venus is very focused on the balance, on harmony, on compromises also. So why am I going through the strong and then through the weak positions? Because this will give us an idea how the balanced feminine energy looks like and how the unbalanced may look like. So the feminine energy is, yes, about some kind of compromise. It doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. It doesn't mean neglecting yourself. But yeah, it means that you are trying to understand the other side. You are trying to find a solution that would be, like a good fit for both sides. That's the feminine energy. When Venus is weak, Venus is weak in Scorpio and Aries. And in those signs, Venus can be very dramatic. In Scorpio, Venus likes the drama. It could be even, the pain, the suffering. Sometimes we can mix those, love and pain. That's very typical for Venus in Scorpio. So this type of attachment to people who can hurt us, for example, or to put ourselves or to tolerate situations which are painful, that's an indication that the feminine energy is very unbalanced. In Aries, it's a little different. It's not so much about punishing yourself or, going through pain. It can be more demonstrative, but also Venus in Aries may like to control or to lead, to insist, to be extremely active. This is not and if you have one of those positions, don't think that, you can do anything about it. Honestly, I have Venus in Scorpio, so I'm also one of those people who are working on this. But it's very important, first of all, to have the awareness, to recognize, what is really going on. So Venus in Aries can like to dominate, to control, to define. This is not what the feminine energy is about. So if you find yourself also willing to have lots of control, or you insist that things should happen only in this way, that's the only way, this is not about the feminine energy. Because the feminine energy has a lot to do also with adaptation. And this is also very visible from the moon, the qualities that we can have from the moon. When the moon is strong, which is especially accentuated in Cancer, one of the potential benefits there is the ability to adapt. Because again, the moon is about life, and life, even from a very, general perspective in terms of evolution and all of that, one of probably the most important qualities is adaptation. When you are able to adapt, you can survive. Basically, those are kind of very closely related, at least, if not the same. Adaptation equals survival, or at least increases the chances for survival. So when our feminine energy is balanced, we are capable of adapting. Again, there are nuances, and it doesn't mean that, it means, other people should define for me, I should just follow, or, of course, this can also be related to some distortions, but it means that you can be flexible, not on a physical level necessarily, but internally. You can adapt, you can find ways, and you can change your direction, you can change your approach, and this is very helpful. Again, this is from the moon. Which are the weak positions? The other strong position is in Taurus. The moon in Taurus is exalted, and in Taurus, the moon is closely related to the physical body. So nutrition, healthy food, to enjoy food, to enjoy comfort. That's very important for the feminine energy. If we have some kind of problems with food, chances are could be somehow relevant also to the feminine energy. It's not the only option, but it's worth it to explore it. For example, that's a little extreme, but I don't know why I just got this example in my mind. Women or girls who are suffering from anorexia, who refuse to eat, or they're judging their bodies. This is in huge conflict with the feminine energy, in a huge conflict. You can't have this condition, this type of relationship to food, and be feminine. That's just impossible. So through paying more attention to our food, to our relationship to food and nutrition, we can also work on this side. Venus in the 4th house, master adapter, yeah. The weak positions of the moon, Capricorn. So the desire to have control, that's one of the things which is really kind of like disturbing the feminine energy. If we have a strong desire to have control, it could be about anything. Control over ourselves, over our behavior, our body, other people, the kids, the family, whatever. This is also not in alignment with the feminine energy. So if you notice such patterns in yourself, you can also specifically work on this so that you can get more in touch with your feminine resource. And the other weak position for the moon is in Scorpio. And my personal opinion is that the moon in Scorpio is actually feeling even more uncomfortable than in Capricorn, even though, the theory says the opposite, that technically the most uncomfortable is Capricorn, then it's Scorpio. I'm questioning this a little bit, not that it's so important, but just sharing this. Why is the moon feeling so uncomfortable in Scorpio? Because Scorpio is a very intense sign and very dramatic sign. And basically, it's very difficult to be able to relax. If you explore people, or maybe we have some participants here who may have this position. For the moon in Scorpio, it's very difficult to just relax, to do nothing, for example, or to have trust. This can be problematic. And again, this is like the opposite of a balanced feminine energy. So when your feminine energy is balanced, what you experience is, first of all, you can allow yourself to relax, even just on a very practical, concrete level. Like you can take some days off or some hours during the day for yourself, or just listen to your body. When you are tired, you take a break. That's again an indication that the feminine energy is balanced. If you are constantly rushing, constantly chasing your to-do list, or even when you don't have tasks, you feel like, oh, but I can't just do nothing, I need to find something to do. That's an indication that there is a problem with the feminine energy. And here's the direction could be specifically about the safety, because this is the moon. So if we feel unsafe, and this again can be on a very deep subconscious level, it may not be relevant to your actual reality right now, but internally, if you have such energies, it can be just very difficult for the feminine energy to be really experienced. Okay, let me see. Now I want to talk a little bit about a very interesting concept about 4 feminine archetypes. This theory comes from, she is a Russian psychologist, Larissa Renard, which has kind of like combined this from Jung's work about the different tempers, the different types of people, but it's interesting to explore it. So we have 4 of those archetypes. We can call them the girl, the lover, the queen, and the landlady. And each of those archetypes is related to one of the elements. The girl is the water element, the lover is the fire, the queen is air, and the landlady is about the earth energy. So how to use this? First, you might check like which element dominates in your chart. Is something missing? But you can also pay specifically attention to your Venus and moon so that you can see which of those archetypes might be more expressed. And again, don't forget that sometimes the prediction also can affect you. So the girl's archetype, the water type of energy, when this energy is balanced and well expressed, we can allow ourselves to want things. We can be playful. We can enjoy life. When this energy is, for example, kind of like there are some distortions or it's expressed but in a more inadequate way, the woman might be stuck in a more kind of like immature state. For example, to want or to need somebody to take care of her, to be unable to take care of herself, to be dependent, to be emotionally too sensitive or somehow unbalanced. The other archetype, the lover, which resonates with the fire energy, this is about the ability to enjoy life, to just be creative, to have fun, to express yourself, to, again, be playful, but I think in a more kind of like grown-up woman way. And another thing I want to clarify is that none of these archetypes is only good or bad. And the best thing is if we can find the balance between all of them, because each of those archetypes can bring us something. So yeah, just something to consider. But the fiery energy, the lover archetype, it can really allow you to have passion for life, to enjoy life, to enjoy your relationships, to be creative, and to express yourself. When this energy is not adequately expressed or it's excessive, for example, we can get over dramatic, or this desire for passion may turn into too much drama. And we can exaggerate sometimes, or or we may also focus too much on ourselves. The 2 archetypes which sometimes might be more selfish are the lover and the queen. So the fire and the air energy. Sometimes they could be more self-centered or too focused on themselves. But again, if they are unbalanced. The archetype of the queen, which resonates with the air energy. This is about the mental energy. So those are women that can be very independent. They can have their own opinions. Very often they can be very smart, very, focused on their ideas. They can kind of like focus on, making their ideas come true. The risk here is that we might go too much into this direction, to be too independent or somehow to also to detach. The air energy sometimes may want too much freedom or too much space with others. So that's something that we can also work on. And the landlady or the earth energy, it's about a very practical side. It's about the ability to take care. It's the ability to connect also on a more physical level, to be more in touch with your own body. But when this energy is not expressed in a good way, when it's excessive or there are some problematic indications, those are women who can kind of like neglect themselves, forget about themselves, for example, kind of like, for example, commit to the family and forget about themselves. That's also, one of the risks. But the real happiness, I think, comes when we can, of course, some of those energies will dominate. That's usually the case. But when you can get a little bit of each of those archetypes, that's when you can be kind of like the most fulfilled. And obviously, everybody's journey will be different on this path. Now, again, I apologize about my voice, but that's the thing. But I would like to do some free readings for you. So, is there someone who would like us to explore their feminine energy, especially if they have any questions or they feel like they have a problem with this?
I would like to.
Yes, somebody already typed in the chat. Anday, I'm apologizing if I'm not pronouncing your name properly. You are sharing your birth details. Can you please turn your camera on and mic on so that we can see you and I can communicate with you? Let me.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Hello.
Thank you so much for this talk. I really appreciate it.
You are very welcome. But I can't see you yet.
Okay, hang on. I click on camera and it says you need to let Zoom access your camera or something.
Okay, you should confirm, I guess.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, that's okay. I will calculate your chart in the meantime. I see your date. And
yeah,
the time.
This talk, I must say, it came at such a moment. I just got back from work and I wanted to join this talk so much, but I had completely forgotten. And then suddenly I clicked on something and I saw that it was about to start. So I was very happy to have to be able to join.
Yes, yes. Things are always happening in the right way.
Yes, indeed. Okay, I think I am. I think it will work now.
Okay. Just one moment because I'm not looking, but I will look at the moment. Maybe somebody in the chat can confirm if we can see you now. I'm just taking a moment to calculate your chart.
Thank you so much for doing this.
You are very welcome. Okay, I found your details.
For me, when you said about your question, you said, what are the topics? I find it very hard to express this feminine side of me, and it's like I'm trapped inside me. The only time I feel expressing it is when I talk about food. I love Thai food, South Asian food, and I feel like the only time things are moving smoothly, it's when I'm talking about food. But other than that, I am almost going in life in a genderless manner. That which is a good thing, but not as a mind. Being genderless in mind is brilliant, but when you're not able to express bodily with how you feel, it's not very good. So just wanted to
Yes.
say that.
Yeah, thank you. Let me just share my screen now so that we can see your chart. Mhm. Mhm. So let me just, is this something that you have always felt, or is this something that recently started for you?
I've never really felt feminine since I was like very, very little, since I was, let's say, a baby. I always felt genderless in a way. I don't see those lines between man and female, feminine and masculine. But recently I discover more and more how I feel scared, trapped, and safe in my own body, and it reflects in what I wear, it reflects in how I act. I'm not comfortable. I feel I'm not expressing myself with how I look, let's say. The most nicest thing I did was to shave my hair for the last 2 years, which really freed me up, because it was a very good experience. But it was unusual in a sense that most, yes, in the society, women have a way of showing themselves with their hair and with the way they dress. I don't fit in
Very
that.
interesting. What do you think you got, or how did you felt when you were able to do this, to shave your hair? What did this give you?
I felt so free. It was so freeing for me. Just I felt in my own skin, like me.
Very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at your chart. So first, the balance of the elements. You actually have dominant feminine energy. 7 feminine signs and 3 masculine. So that's the starting point. Next, we are looking at your moon and Venus, and they are both in Taurus. So they are both very strong. Venus in Taurus is in the sign of its rulership. The moon in Taurus is in a sign of exaltation. So initially you have this resource, it is there, but why it might be more difficult to access this, it's because they are in 12th house. So it could be a little bit like something, 12th house may feel sometimes like, let me just find the word, something that hasn't been materialized yet. It's like it's not in the material world. It's more like hypothetical somewhere, like it's not, in a form yet. So that's a very interesting case. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Because what is interesting here, that initially the energy is there and it's strong. So Moon and Venus, they are actually in conjunction, and they're in basically strongest positions, both of them, but they're in 12th house. So it can create something like a conflict, like this energy is somewhere inside of you, but it's more difficult to, to apply it or to feel it in reality. Let's see. What are the aspects? Okay. Your moon is part of a Tau square with Mars and Pluto. And technically Venus is not, but because Venus is in conjunction with the moon, it's actually included in this. So we can say that your moon and Venus are both part of a Tau square with Mars and Pluto. And for you, it feels very unsafe. It feels dangerous on certain level to be feminine. And my interpretation, I don't want to be insensitive here, but if you allow me to comment, when you have shaved your hair, you have felt very good because you don't express or you don't feel so feminine. Because Pluto and Mars, they are two aggressive planets, at least potentially aggressive. And in your chart, they are in very powerful positions, but it really triggers, it really feels like you can be in some kind of danger. So when you feel like I'm not feminine, I'm not attracting attention, I don't look whatever, women are supposed to look, then it's like this Mars and Pluto energy will not attack you. Because when you feel more connected to the moon and Venus energy, within you subconsciously, it means that, okay, here comes Pluto and Mars as well, and they have opposition and a square. So very difficult aspects. If we talk about karmic astrology, we might suspect, of course, those are, hypothetical scenarios, but could be that in past lives, in past experiences, you have been in danger. You have been hurt because, of this feminine energy. Could be sexual violence or, something very, very serious. It's not just about feeling neglect. Not that I want to minimize if somebody feels neglected, of course, but it's, something very, very deep and very intense as an experience. And you have been very feminine. Like this energy has been very, because the resource is still here. It's still in a very strong sign. Both of the planets are in strong signs, but it's just dangerous to get in touch with this energy. Does any of that resonate with you? Do you feel like you are, this thing about safety, danger?
Completely, 100%. I've always felt that, and because I have this strong emphasis in my life on mind, and I believe in mind's genderless power, that mind has this power to see all sides. I am able to just be okay. I'm able to just live with that. Because I am enough in myself in that manner. But whenever I come even close to this part, I feel this almost not like almost like a memory, almost like a bodily memory. Or I've also grew up in a household that wasn't very conducive to safe feminine expression, and I would say I'm only able to use this safety with love, showing my, I guess, that side with animals and food. The rest of the time, I don't show it. And I feel like whenever I try to even show it, I always get the most uncomfortable positions wherever I am. And I thought about this very much about what was it that caused it and so on. And recently I came to a similar conclusion. Not that I have any recollection. Mostly I have recollections of wars as a man, but I don't have any recollection as of being a woman. And I always felt I wasn't a woman before. This is absurd. Like, why am I a woman? I always felt this really uncomfortable feeling of being a woman. I don't like being a woman. I don't like dressing up as a woman, taking care of myself as a woman. It doesn't suit me. But then again, if here is me, there must be a reason.
Of course. Yeah. It's also interesting that Neptune and Uranus, they have a trine with your moon and Venus. And especially the Neptune energy, it's really about giving and taking care and your love for the animals, or, it could be for nature, or it comes probably from Neptune. Yeah. Yeah, this is very interesting. And what I noticed while you were sharing with us, you said, I have the feeling like I have been a warrior, or I have this energy. For you, it's easier to identify with the Mars and Pluto energy, because they are also in, houses which you can connect easier to. Like, I think that the Moon and Venus energy are so painful that, you need to put them in the closet, or, as far away as possible. But Mars and Pluto are more accessible. And there, of course, all of this also has some benefits. Like in astrology, nothing is just there to, to torture us, or nothing is just a challenge. There are always benefits, and you can really have this warrior energy, or you can be a protector, or you can help weaker people or animals, probably also something you want to do. But if you try to work with this Moon Venus energy a little step after another, you will feel more complete. And it doesn't mean that, you need to be like one of the women from Instagram, or, from the magazines. You can still, be in touch with your own values. Again, that's Venus. For you, this sounds like the right thing, but not because this is painful when you are trying to get rid of this, but, because to integrate this energy, basically. And you will feel more complete, and you will be able to use the Mars and Pluto energy in a more constructive way as well, because they are part of this Tau square. And yes, we are used to thinking that Tau squares are awful. Oh, it's a nightmare. Oh, it's very difficult. Yes, there are difficulties, that's for sure. But the Tau square can make you very productive and very, focused on something and dedicated. And especially in your case with Mars and Pluto, you can be very focused on, achieving concrete things. And yeah, you can use this in different ways. Let's see. The good thing is that Venus and the Moon also have positive aspects, or harmonious aspects. So as we said, with Uranus and Neptune, the other one is with Mercury, also a sextile. So there is help from the other planets as well. With Mercury, let me see. Interesting that the helpers are in 2nd and 8th house. What are 2nd and 8th house about? They are two polarities. One is the material world, the other one is the invisible world. So such interesting connections. When you find a way to kind of like exist in both of those worlds, you know, like the material, practical world, what people are calling the real world, but also because you have a very strong connection to what's beyond this material world, right? Like it's obvious from the chart. When you find a way to exist in both of those worlds, I'm reminded now about a wonderful book by Wayne Dyer, but I need to check which book was that. I think it was something about making your dreams come true, or I will try to find it and I will share it in the group, okay? But he was giving this advice, like, if you want to materialize something, if you want to manifest, like, imagine how with one of your feet is in the material world, the other one is in the invisible world. And, you know, and we are like, there is like a bridge between those two, I don't know, dimensions or whatever we will call this. I think when you can also feel like you can exist here, but also experience something deeper, which is not only in the material world, you will feel safer.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have any questions or something you want to add or something you want to share?
No, you have given me such gold. You have given me such a valuable information. I especially the method you recommended hits home for me. I am trying very hard to be between these two worlds. I try to establish a feet in that world, all sorts of meditative practices and things like that. Very difficult, of course, to concentrate here, there. But you have given me such hope.
You know what might be also one of the problems here, that on certain level you may feel like you need to choose. It's either this or that. It's either this world or the other world. It resonates a little bit like either a man or a woman. But when you feel like you can be both, you know, you can have like a full life experience in the material world. So second house, Taurus energy, right? But this doesn't separate you. It doesn't cut your connection with what's beyond that. When you feel like, okay, there is a bridge and I can exist and I can be, then you will feel much better. Because right now it may feel like I need to choose, also because of this opposition between your between your second 8th house and also 6th 12th house. The conflict there is really like the present or the visible world and what's beyond. One thing I want to add is that you also have a configuration which is called mystic rectangle, which looks like an envelope here. The moon, Venus, with Mercury, with Pluto, with Uranus, Neptune. This is a very special, it's quite rare, and it's a very special configuration. And yeah, it's interesting that those houses are triggered. So this is really essential for you to feel like you don't need to choose between, but I can be in both of those, or I can experience. I think that's what will help you a lot in general.
This is such gold. Everything you said completely resonated me. And the last point you said, it sounds just in words, but the way it is, the way you feel it and the way you say it has such deep connections with me, because what you say is actually quite painful and deep. It very makes very hard to hold on to life at points.
Yeah.
You don't. You. It's like I don't know how to be. I will not be. It's this kind of very non-productive, very not solution-based thinking.
Yes.
But what you told me, I truly feel that this has been gifted to me. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for sharing with us, for opening up. I know this is also, it takes courage. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So we are a little bit ahead of time. But what I can offer you, if you want, we can do this maybe next week again. Okay? And we will have time for more people then. So, yeah, let me just unpin. So let's do like this. Those who would like to join us, again, you can just subscribe to the Telegram channel. If you are on YouTube, I will add the link in the description. It's also in the comments. You can join the channel there. You will receive the link for the Zoom. You can come and we can practice together with you. You can share, ask questions and all of this. So yeah, and next time we will have more time to focus on concrete examples. So thank you very much for joining me. Again, if you want to work on something specific related to your feminine energy, I will add the link in the description below. Right now, there is a special offer. And yeah, this also idea about combining astrology and GSR. If you want to have a tool that will help you to work with basically anything, this is a really great way. And we will do this in a group format, so it will be an amazing experience. Thank you all.
I just want to say that was an amazing reading. You did. That was a beautiful, amazing reading. I have paid, I've paid for readings that were like, I paid way too much money probably for readings that were a crumb of what that was. So yeah, I know I'm going to be in touch with you because you hit on ding 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 ding. Yeah, so I'm like, all right. And I've been waiting for somebody because well,
thank you so much.
People seem to care about money more than giving a good reading or a reading or whatever, yada yada yada. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a shout out.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Marina, can I say something?
Sure.
I've been following you since you opened your channel. I think I discovered you when you did a talk with another astrologer on YouTube. And then I realized, and then you opened your channel. And I remember the bookcase behind you was empty at the time because you had just opened your office. And then slowly and slowly and slowly you built it.
That's cool.
And I truly admire your hard work. I see it, and every time I look at you, I see the hard work you put in, the care and diligence. And of course, your talent is a bonus with this hard work. Incredible.
I just found you.
I'm grateful for both of you and for everybody who's here and who's watching. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
thank you.
I really appreciate this so much. So have a wonderful day. I will let you know about the future meetings. And yeah, as I said, we can turn this into a regular event. So I wish everyone to have a wonderful holiday season. And yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Wonderful New Year. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.